But for me, what it was doing to my physical and emotional and mental state was putting me in that sickness space, so to speak. And I want to live in wellness space because I want to keep getting better. Everything about my life is better's better. I say better's better. And when people say, what do you do to get better? I say, what are you willing to do?
Welcome to Inspired Choice today. I'm your host, Caroline Biesalski, here to bring you authentic stories, surprising lessons, and powerful takeaways to fuel your journey in business and life. In each episode, I'll take you from one inspiring guest to the next, blending their experiences with my expertise to uncover practical strategies you can use right away. Whether you're starting out or stepping up, stay tuned for insights and actionable tips that make a difference. And stick around until the end for a special freebie just for our listeners. Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline and my today's guest is Holly Porter. And I'm so happy that she said yes to our interview. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. And I would love to introduce you to the audience. So you are a resilient force, a 15-time best-selling author, philanthropist, and survivor whose 70-day battle with COVID-19 ignited your passion for helping others heal. Leading a non-profit supporting long COVID survivors, you bring hope and joy to countless lives. Your latest venture, Retreat R&R, you have to help me with the pronunciation here, is set to launch a SaaS platform for retreat leaders in early 2024, a game changer for wellness and leadership communities. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Holly Porter.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how do you pronounce your venture?
Retreat R&R.
Okay, so it worked perfectly. And my first question to you is, what inspired you to pursue wellness and philanthropy, especially after your life-changing experience with COVID-19?
Well, I've always actually done philanthropy my whole life. It just shifted after I spent 70 days in the hospital with COVID and almost dying, many of those days. It just shifted my why. And just to know that I have one. I mean, before it was just so cliche to me. It was the family, sure, I do things for my family. And I had 11 startup companies, but I just never felt like, oh, this is it. And this is my purpose. And this is what I'm going to leave as a legacy. And now I feel like I have that. And it's just such a different shift.
Wow, you said 70 days in hospital. How was it? Like, when was it exactly?
Yeah, it was in the fall of 2021. So right in the midst of when things were happening, I got the Delta version, which I think still is the far by worse version of it. And I just never even thought I'd get COVID. I was a really healthy person, walked on into the hospital on no drugs, walked out with 12. I'm drug free now, but that's by choice. And I was intubated 2 times, had a trach, had sepsis and some other life-threatening infections. And so I feel like I'm a true miracle. I had many miracles that happened to my story. And I had out-of-body experiences and a near-death experience and a spiritual transformational experience, which those are all 3 different. I didn't know that before. And it's just shifted the perspective of life so much more for me and given me so much more passion for life than I had before to complete what I need to do, because none of us know when it's our time to go, right?
Yes, that's so true. And what you said about something like accomplishment. So first of all, you recognized what your real purpose is and what the next steps were then, right?
Right. Yeah. And I'm very ADHD as well. So keeping things in order and figuring that out and knowing, like, I'm a visionary, so I see the end result and I know what it's going to be. And then I have to work backwards And isn't that what Stephen R. Covey in his book, he that's what he talks about, is go with the end in mind and then figure it all out. Everything is figure outable, and we just have to get the right people. I don't have to know how to do everything. I just need to find the people that know how. And that was a hard lesson to learn.
This gives me hope. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love how you said I'm very ADHD because I think we in Germany we don't emphasize this so much. You know, we are a little bit behind. We are hiding. People are hiding. I would say weaknesses, which is not a weakness. Just yesterday, I listened to an audiobook talking about advantages, all the advantages when you are blessed. I say blessed with ADHD and stuff. And you also, I don't know if you see it that way, if you see the 70 days experience as a blessing, because we always have the choice, right? How we see things.
100%. Yes, I think all of it's a blessing. There's always the story weaved in there, and what do we come out of the lesson from learning it? If we don't, I feel like when we don't learn that lesson, then we get another experience to repeat it. And I've had that my whole life, right? I'm about done with that. I want to learn the first time. I don't want to keep redoing and redoing and redoing, because that's exhausting. I just want to know what it is and get the right pathway. And sure, there will be hiccups along the way, but I think the growth from having life lessons really changes our perception of how we handle things. And really how we handle things is what moves the needle forward. Because I've reacted, especially with the ADHD, you're just go, have multitasking going on supercharged. And sometimes you have to step back, take a breath, and just stop and think things out just a little bit. And I think God, for me, that's who it is, put me in a coma. I was in a coma probably at least 32, I think, days out of the 70. And I think that happened to get me to hold still long enough to listen. And when you can't go anywhere, you've got a tube down your throat, and you're literally wishing you would die at that point because of how things are happening in your world and everything you can't do and can't see. I mean, it was a blessing to be in a coma that part of the time, because it's not fun. When you're ADHD and you're laying in a hospital bed and can't hardly move, it plays mind tricks. And so really in the end, if I wouldn't have had all my personal development behind me over the years, I don't think I would have survived, because it really is a mind game. And I knew I could do hard things, but my prayer was, if I'm not going to get better, then get me out of here, because I'm done. I'll fight the fight if that's the will of how it's supposed to be, but it was not a fun journey. And I just think being still and listening, and that's why I was gifted all those experiences in my coma, because I did listen. Thank heavens.
Yes, I can relate to that, even though I don't understand. I mean, I cannot know how it's like. I had COVID for 11 days, and it was but it was without coma, without hospital, it was just lying in bed, but I couldn't move. I still could move. But this impatience I had about when is it going to be over, because you have to test every day, and then you are still contagious, or whatever the word is.
Yeah, so true.
Days, wow. And then in coma, this is really a blessing, I would say. And my next question is, was there a defining moment during or after your recovery that fueled your mission to support the long COVID community?
Yeah. Oh, big defining moment. Yeah. I was one of my experiences, I was told by God, basically, to start a nonprofit. Now, something that I'll be totally transparent with, I was told the name, Adventure Bucket Wish Foundation, and I was told to have this nonprofit. Now, when I got out of the hospital, long COVID nobody even knew what it was, including myself, obviously, because we were all new to this. And now people hear it and they hear long COVID and they're understanding a little bit more. So I decided to attach the long COVID awareness and help to this nonprofit. What I struggled with was people didn't want to hear about COVID. Really challenging. And I had a challenge with my podcast, getting guests that wanted to share their story. The good thing was it was about giving people hope. And a lot of my guests that had long COVID were recovering. They were like ones that got it in 2020, worse than me. I mean, one guy didn't even ever he had COVID, but he never had any symptoms. His wife was a whole different story, but he didn't have any symptoms, but he had long COVID. So it was like people all over the, really bad to not hardly at all that had long COVID. And just this year, a few months ago, I was doing my last podcast that I decided was, and I literally, like a ton of bricks hit me while this guest is telling her story. I'm reliving mine. And that hadn't happened before. And I realized I'd had a few nudges, but I had realized that because I had gotten so much better in the last few months, that I didn't want to live in that sick space anymore. Like, I want to advocate, I want to do that, but the nonprofit didn't feel good anymore as far as that being our mission. So I literally am in the process of changing the mission to the nonprofit, same name. And I really struggled with that because I called one of my friends after this happened. I mean, I'm doing the podcast. I get told, this is your last podcast, and this is not your mission anymore. After I just spent, 2.5 years focused on this whole thing. We've done fundraisers. I didn't do any fundraisers this year. I knew in my gut something just wasn't right. And out of integrity, I just didn't feel right about it. So I feel like I called my friend and I said, she's on my board. And I just said, why would God tell me to start a nonprofit for long COVID if I'm getting told now that's not right? And she said, it really is interpretation and perception. And then she's the one that reminded me, did you get told to do it for long COVID? And I'm like, well, no. And she goes, you were so sick when you got out of the hospital. That was your easiest place to place a nonprofit. That was the easiest group of people because you were relatable. You could see you weren't getting help. The doctors weren't listening. You were getting gaslighted. And so that community needed it. And I said, you're right. And she said, I think your journey's done here. I think you did what you could there. You need to support other groups and that. But for me, what it was doing to my physical and emotional and mental state was putting me in that sickness space, so to speak. And I want to live in wellness space because I want to keep getting better. Everything about my life is better's better. I say better's better. And when people say, what do you do to get better? I say, what are you willing to do? Because my list is long. The stuff that I did, the supplements that I took, I mean, it's long. And so I don't want to waste my breath because that's what I lost with COVID was my breath, right? My breath's really important to me. And I will help anyone that is willing to listen and really wants to get well. But I just felt like it kept me in that space that I didn't want to be in. It just was a lot of people that are sick really don't want to get better. They like the attention it gives them. They like the stigma, whatever it is. I don't know because I don't want to be there. So I don't think that way. And bless them. I hope they get better. I hope they keep, trying new things that and listening and being willing to get better. So that was a long answer. Sorry, that was long, but that's kind of where it went. So like, I'm in that journey myself of what does that mission look like now? Because it's got to light me up. If you're giving philanthropy, it's got to be something you're passionate about, that you want to get up every day and serve people in that mission. And I know it will be something with female entrepreneurship and leadership, that no doubt, because that lights me up, is helping that group of people. So anyway, that's where we are with that.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. Yes, you are at the right place here, the Inspired podcast. The inspiration also has to do with breath. We know this. The spirit is the God's breath, or what he did, what he gave us, his breath, I think. So I like this very much. And also when you use the word advocate, to be an advocate for your mission, or I don't know how you call it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Wow.
You got to be passionate about what you're doing, or if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. And we have to do things that light us up.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And of course, I have another question. So, with the launch of Retreat R&R, what impact do you hope to make on retreat leaders and the wellness community?
Oh, wow. Hopefully a worldwide change. That to me, that does light me up, because I'm about people having balance in their life and listening and finding that inspiration. And I can't think of a better place for people to get that within themselves than at a retreat. I mean, sure, you can do your own personal meditation, whatever, but going to an actual retreat that's designed, there's so many kinds of retreats. Like mine, we deal with corporate, but we also deal with health and wellness, and we deal with, the yoga retreats is what a lot of people are aware of. That's what made retreats popular, I think. But there's so many kinds. There's men's retreats, there's women retreats, there's healing, there's so many things. There's what's it called? There's my little COVID brain. The ashwagandha, what are they called? I'm sorry, I can't think of what it's called, but they're really popular. The medicated retreats where you go and do natural healing type medications. I can't even think of the word right now, but that's so important to see people change in people's lives. They come back and they're different. For corporate, they bring their employees on a retreat and they teach them some balance. It's not just work and life, right? It's a balance of work and life, and just knowing how many lives we can change. I'm from the speaker author coaches world as well, and I teach them that instead of just getting on a stage and selling, have a retreat, bring them into your fold. Do a 3 to 7 day retreat with them. People know if they know, like, and trust you, if they've spent that many hours and time with you. And you also know if you want them as a client, right? It works both ways. So teaching them that they can sell their coaching packages. I mean, they have big, tens of thousands of dollars of packages. You can sell those a lot easier at a retreat. So it's just teaching people how to be able to monetize, make more money with doing these, but also giving experience to the attendees that they'll never forget, and they will always talk about, and they'll continue to come back to you because you're a leader in that industry. And so it's just working with them. It just lights me up. I feel like that was such a gift. I did have that idea before I got sick, but it evolved while I was in my coma. And when I got out is when I incorporated the company. And then I took the nonprofit, and it's the philanthropy piece that'll get a percentage of the company and things like that. No matter what the mission is, it's going to be part of that. So anyway, it just all flowed together, and I just knew, this company for me is a founder of it's a tech company. So a founder, most smart founders, they build it and then they scale it and then they sell it, right? And that obviously is my plan, only because it's that end game. But I have so many projects with philanthropy have my heart, and you need money to do it. And so I'm building it so that I can sell it to have the money to do those passion projects and to serve. And the list is long, and I can't wait until 5 years in the future. I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, I did it. Finally, I made this happen, and I'm proud of it. And right now I'm in the trenches, and it's tough, and it's raising money, to get the software done. And it's just it's mind boggling some days, especially when you're ADHD, because your mind doesn't think like structure. It thinks, woo. So it's just getting the right people on my team and finding the right investors. And yeah, it's been a lot. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. I understand more, of course. So it's a platform. You talked about it. You are growing it, and then you have many more projects as well. And I love that you shared about the corporate world, about improving the life-work balance, and you gave me the idea now because it's so important. So one can organize retreats for corporates, for companies as well, and
Yeah.
for yes, you mentioned it already. Thank you so much. I had another thought in mind. I have to think myself. You talked about in 5 years, for example, and I would like to invite you to be a podcast guest in 5 years. So let's do this again. I would love to because I committed to um, so many episodes and to not stop, but you know how it works because you witnessed this, you were in an interview and then you were guided to stop that. And but we never know. But I would like to talk to you again in 5 years, 2029.
Sure.
Or
That's
yes,
wonderful. I'll be around. I'm not going anywhere. I got things to do.
find you and we have a date now and this is so great. So I have another question for you. We have a little time left, I think, about your coaches and mentors. Do you have coaches and mentors for yourself, and who was the best coach you ever had?
Oh, I don't know if I ever would say the best because I've had a lot of different ones. What I did do was I outgrew every coach I ever had, which is really good, right? I mean, if you can do that. When people work with me for coaching, I'm not a coach that works with people. I wouldn't say I'd work with someone longer than a year. I like the 90, the 6 months up to a year if we're working on something big, because I'm a creator and I want to see it done. I don't want to be stuck in all the challenges of, I just want to move with people that want to move forward. So for me, mentors have been huge. I have a couple big ones right now. I mean, nobody would know their names because they're in tech, right? There's a Colorado University professor that's mentoring me right now, and that's a huge find because what's interesting is a mentor gives you their time. They don't usually charge you money. A coach you pay, a consultant you pay. I like the combo of the coach consulting and that's what I like to do, because with coaching, you're there more as support and suggestions. With consulting, you're pretty much laying out plans and saying, this is really what I think you should do. And so you're wearing both hats. I like that better just because I want to work with people that know that I have experience in all these companies and know that I have these backgrounds and that I've tried and failed and tried and failed. And I don't want to see people do that. If you can shortcut it, it's amazing. Everybody, I think, should have a coach. And if you have a coach that doesn't have a coach, I would question why. Okay, first of all. The other suggestion I would give to your listeners is that when I outgrew a couple coaches and I was just like kind of burned out on it, I thought, what could I do differently that'll keep helping the business and the needle moving forward? And I put together my own mastermind. And these ones, I put it I've actually done 3 now over the years. And they weren't paid masterminds. These ones weren't. They were just women that I found that were at least at my level or higher. I usually like to go higher because I don't want to be the smartest one in the room. I want to be the dumbest one in the room so that I can absorb all their greatness, right? But create your own. If you can't find what you're looking for, then go create it and make it fit. Make it be what you want to be as well. And that's been a game changer for me.
Wow, thank you so much. So first of all, that you mentioned the smartest person in the room. I just had an interview guest who wrote a book about that. And also that you emphasized that you want to be the dumbest person in the room, so to say. I never heard this before, but it makes totally sense for me. So thank you so much for that. I love the idea of masterminding as well. I studied Napoleon Hill a lot of time, or let's say the last 3 years. And then, I have, oh my goodness, this is the business.
That's happy. Yeah.
Everyone should read it, not read it, but study it and then apply it to their life. Of course, reading is not serving us. Thank you so much. And my last question to you, of course, where can people find you when they want to reach out to you after listening to this episode?
Oh, sure. You can always email me. It's just my name, holly@hollyporter.com. And my website's hollyporter.com. You can go check out things there. That'd be great. Yeah, I have lots of books and different things, but the Retreat R&R, that site's there. The nonprofit's adventurebucketwish.org, and Retreat is retreatrnr.com.
Oh, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing. You will find the links in the show notes, of course, dearest audience, and please reach out to Holly. She's amazing. She shares her knowledge and wisdom with us. And now it's time for your final thoughts to the audience, please.
Well, never give up. That's really what I would say. The one message I came back from my near-death experience was love them where they're at. And when you think about just loving people for who they are, it takes away all that judgment. It's where they are, right? And it's just love them anyway. And I think just knowing that and not giving up is what I would leave you with.
Wow, thank you so much for our interview. I'm inspired now. Wow, and see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Inspired Choice today. I'm thrilled to have you on this journey of growth and transformation. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe to stay connected and never miss an episode. And here's something special. Grab your free 20-minute breakthrough session with me. It's designed to help you kickstart or level up your business. Just check out the show notes for more. Until next time, keep making those inspired choices. See you in the next episode.